Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. On February 19th, 2007, I created a blog. Inspired by websites like The Agony Booth, 3B Theater, Jabutu's Movie Reviews, and others, I decided to try my hand at doing text reviews of awful comic books. 10 years later, here we are. I often get asked how I got into this, and while I know answering it all here won't stop people from asking, I might as well try to reach the widest possible audience for a big anniversary like this. It's important to remember that before YouTube, video on the internet was just not really a thing. Piracy certainly existed for media through file-sharing programs, but a wide online platform for producing and releasing original video content was not viable. The file sizes were just too big for the web. If you had video on a website, it was usually grainy 10 meg real player videos for popular franchises. I recall downloading clips of upcoming Pokemon episodes that had aired in like Canada or something at the turn of the century that hadn't gone out in America yet, and was satisfied with them despite looking like garbage. Audio was different, and you had an easier time sharing podcasts and WAV files than video. When YouTube did finally come around in 2005, it took a bit for a lot of people to start using it to create their own original content beyond cute videos or personal stuff that people shared. More piracy. Before that, the only way to talk about movies, TV shows, or indeed comic books in any long-form synopsis was, well, via text. And that's where those websites I mentioned at the beginning come in. These sites reveled in the cheesy, the terrible, and the dredges of media. Mystery Science Theater 3000 got us to riff the movies, but these websites showed us that the internet could expose people to thousands of untapped films and TV shows. Speaking of MST3K and riff tracks, The Agony Booth is where I first heard of Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny. Jabutu, where I first learned how terrible Superman 4 was. These people described movies in a way that made them accessible even though I had never watched them before, describing in detail every dumb scene, every idiotic piece of dialogue, and they did it with mockery and jokes. And they weren't doing it to make money, no one was paying them to do this, it was just because they had opinions to share and they clearly had fun with it. And I wanted in. I unfortunately didn't have the tools or money at my disposal to do this with movies, but I realized that I didn't really know any sites that were doing this with comic books, a medium that I loved. I wasn't an expert or anything, and I would argue even after 10 years and 430 plus episodes, I'm still not one, but I knew bad when I looked at it, and I had plenty of bad comics collected over the years, or just knew about through cultural osmosis. And since I was just starting out, I felt I needed to dip my feet in the water first, so I picked an easy target. The first comic released by Image in 1992, Rob Liefeld's Youngblood #1. The blog's original header was a picture from a Power Girl miniseries that had come out a few years before, showing Power Girl and Huntress sitting on a wall, some paint shop pro text of Atop the Fourth Wall placed over it. The first name I thought of for the blog was Comics Shouldn't Suck, but that was too similar to another blog I read at the time, Comics Should Be Good. And I've always been fascinated by the concept of the fourth wall, the invisible barrier when you're viewing something on a screen or in a panel. You can only see 3 walls at any given time in an image like this. The fourth is always hidden from view. I briefly thought of calling it Beyond the Fourth Wall, but for whatever reason, I went with Atop the Fourth Wall. And there we go. I tried to keep the reviews weekly, but since I was a college student and I wasn't getting any monetary reward for doing this, weekly became monthly, and monthly became whenever the hell I felt like it. You know, just like with History of Power Rangers these days. Then came the Nostalgia Critic, the AVGN, and of course tons and tons of other video reviewers who utilized YouTube and other video platforms to produce reviews of material. Come October 2008, I threw my hat into the ring for that with a review from the Clone Saga. And, well, the rest is history. 10 years I've been talking about bad comics, and it all comes back to Youngblood. And yet we're still not on issue 10 yet. Ironically, that's how long I'm sure it felt reading it at the time, considering the constant delays between issues. SF Debris has gone over that stuff in his Rise and Fall of the Comics Empire videos, which I highly recommend, but for now, let's talk about this odd little issue we have for the anniversary. For whatever reason, in September of 1994, the Image creators decided, hey, let's all switch what books we're working on for the month, thus creating Image X Month. Rob Liefeld went over to work on Shadowhawk #0, while Jim Valentino worked on this issue of Youngblood. I have no idea why anyone thought this was a good idea, especially considering considering the delay problems they were having working on their own books. Well, I suppose it makes sense for Rob, who seemingly keeps getting bored working on his own stuff to the point where he has to go work on something else for a while. Maybe that's why the bajillion times they've announced one of his properties is going to be made into a movie never ends up happening. He gets bored halfway through the script meeting and leaves. But hey, it ain't Rob working on this one, so let's dig into Youngblood number 9 and see if Jim Valentino can do something, anything worthwhile. Or maybe 10 years after I started reviewing this stuff, it'll still be crap.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
Pretty woman, walking down the street. Pretty woman, the kind I like to meet. Pretty woman.
The cover I have is perfectly fine and makes sense given the content of the comic. The members of Youngblood sitting on a couch watching TV together. It's okay, and frankly I'd be kind of hypocritical to be negative about the cover of something being a bunch of people sitting on a couch watching TV. Honestly, my only complaint about it is that Badrock sitting on the couch is making one side of the couch lift into the air. Except this isn't a seesaw, it's a couch. The middle should just be weighed down and affecting all four legs. So instead, we're gonna talk about the variant cover that Liefeld did. Man, oh man, this one's awful. Forgiving how boring it is with just 3 people in front of a gradient, at least the other cover had a background and seemed to indicate the characters had some personality. It's just horrific in how it's drawn. I mean, for all the crap we give Liefeld for drawing over-muscled characters, we sometimes forget that he's bad at drawing over-muscled characters. Look at all the massive neck veins Badrock has. How tight are his blood vessels to show those off just by standing like this? Hell, I'm not even certain he has a neck. I think the head is just plopped onto the middle of his torso. How come his biceps are half as thick as his chest? What are all the weird X lines on it? Scars? Veins? Pieces of string that got painted over to match his skin tone? And based on this woman's proportions here, we see the real target demographic of Youngblood. 90s Barbie dolls. How is that woman even sitting on Badrock's arm? There's nothing implying his fingers are curved in any way to have a space to sit on. She's just clinging to the side of the arm like Spider-Man. And by the way, classic example of Liefeld not thinking about proportions. Forgetting the 50-foot woman leaning on Badrock's arm, well, with both legs about 2 to 3 times longer than her torso and head, Badrock either has very tiny legs, or the woman in the purple bikini has even longer legs than the other, indicating that she is in fact Stilt Woman the Amazing. Also, notice how her arms are going straight down? That's because she has to hold up her bikini top by the armpits. It's not tied in the back! The legs thing is just amazing to me. 22 Brides is looking at these legs and saying they're over the top. Actually, screw the phrase over the top here. Clearly they are so above the top that they are in the stratosphere. Anyway, we open with Badrock's gaping maw getting ready to devour us all. I've been optioned! Sure you have, Badrock. Your movie will go down in history right alongside the Youngblood video game, the Brett Ratner Youngblood movie, the Goddessy movie, and the Extreme Comics cinematic universe as unparalleled successes. Note, this story does not necessarily conform with any known continuity. Whew, that's a relief. I'm sure everybody in the 90s was making massive flowcharts about the timeline of Youngblood books and where everything fit into continuity. Although already the book demonstrates a much better understanding of artistic storytelling as we see Badrock going around what I presume is Youngblood's headquarters, telling everyone about the deal in multiple panels. Also, they're watching Godzilla on the TV, which just makes me wish the comic was everybody watching Godzilla. It would be infinitely more entertaining. Anyway, he goes to each member of Youngblood to tell them the good news, all of them telling him basically the same thing. Be careful what you sign, see a lawyer, keep your eye on the royalties, etc. Also, Shaft is apparently playing chess with somebody unseen. Man, how weird is it to have someone playing chess seemingly against no one? Huh, got a weird sense of deja vu there. Troll even has advice. Just watch out for those Hollywood types, kid. Troll, he hangs out with you. No soulless Hollywood executive could ever compete with you, you disgusting imp. Die Hard's reaction to the news is apparently subdued, since he looks like he's recovering from a bad hangover. Or possibly, being a robot, he's overreacting to some popcorn that's spilled out onto the countertop. But yeah, Badrock is ecstatic. I'm gonna be a star! Yeah, it's almost like you'll be a celebrity superhero and appear on David Letterman. Just like you were a few issues ago. How is this new for you? Badrock flies out to Los Angeles to sign the contract for all this. And on the plane, he loudly sings Buck Owens' song, Act Naturally, because aging country singers were all the rage with 17-year-olds in the mid-90s. It's actually not his singing that's annoying to all these people, it's that they're on a United flight. As I've kind of implied over the last decade, Badrock is the best character in Youngblood, with a decent backstory and an intriguing premise of a kid, or teen in this case, stuck in an oversized monstrous body. So putting him in a situation like this where his inexperience and immaturity is both natural and ripe for comedic and dramatic opportunities. Anyway, Badrock arrives in LA. Ah, LA! I'm here! Swimming pools, movie stars. Hey, where's my limo? Sorry, Badrock, but Donald Pleasance had to use it to pick up Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees in the next terminal over. A representative or assistant or something from the studio, whom we never get a name for aside for Jeeves from Badrock, leads him to a limo. Somehow he gets inside the limo, despite the shot clearly showing that he is bigger than the door and there's really no angle from which he can enter. And then we get our establishing shot of LA and, oh good lord. Remember my rant from last time about the terrible, terrible artwork for one panel showing a star-filled sky above New York, wherein there were no stars, the moon was gigantic, and the buildings of New York City were just prisms with crossword puzzles slapped on them? Apparently Jim Valentino decided to try one-upping that. Let's take a photograph of Los Angeles and run it through a few filters so it's this dark, grainy mess of an image. Points for laziness, at least. As I said before, Liefeld's seemed like more work to be lazy in his regard, but this takes the cake. What I especially love about this is that I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be in the middle of the day, yet the filters make it look like the middle of the night. Hell, as a result, I can't even be sure if this is Los Angeles or not. We could be looking at a dark, grainy, multiple photocopied picture of Des Moines for all I know. Jeeves takes Badrock to his hotel for him to freshen up before his meeting with the studio. And now we have a proper establishing shot, and it is indeed night out, except we learn on the next page that it's 12:30 where they are, and the meeting is at 1 o'clock. So if it's nighttime, is Badrock's meeting at 1 a.m.? Was the pollution in LA so bad that it blotted out all forms of light? Or, given this is a superhero universe, is there a supervillain blocking out the sun a la Mr. Burns? Anyway, Badrock is, understandably, impressed by the hotel room. I haven't seen a setup like this since Pretty Woman. Oh my god, is Richard Gere gonna take me on a shopping spree? Hey, they've got little shampoos and conditioners in the bathroom! Oh my god, that's almost like every hotel ever! As Badrock asks if he can steal them as souvenirs, Jeeves starts calling the studio, desperate to be parted with him. But yeah, again, he's a celebrity already. Has he never stayed in a hotel before? No wonder they said this didn't conform to any continuity. Anyway, it's here that Jeeves reveals that the meeting is at 1 and they should be heading out. Badrock walks out with a friggin' sack full of soap, and I would question that, but yeah, just look at the guy. I applaud their forward thinking of making sure he had enough soap. However, Badrock, being a spoiled 17-year-old who doesn't know any better, says that they can't very well start the meeting without him, and decides to put on some TV. I wonder if there's any hockey games on, or a dirty movie, or maybe some cartoons. Wait, get me an internet connection. I can watch a dirty movie that is a cartoon. Jeeves finally gets him to leave, with Badrock acknowledging how the doors in the limo are a bit small. Except, of course, we saw earlier Badrock is too big to fit inside the door altogether, and his size seems to not actually follow a consistent character model.
Space is warped and time is bendable.
They arrive at the studio, with Badrock continually badgering Jeeves with questions until they finally reach the meeting itself. BR, this is JP, AJ, RH, JM, YZ, VW, and Sully. John Paxton, Angry Joe, Rutger Hauer, Johnny Mathis, Joseph Zaritsky, Victor Willis, and Sully? What an eclectic group of people at this meeting! Sully's the best, though. He's a funny guy. Gotta tell you, BR, we just love your story. Well, somebody had to be a fan of Youngblood to get this thing made. It's got it all! Humor, pathos, all we need is a little skin. Hey, I'm not that kind of a guy! Of course you're not, and that's what's so perfect. Okay, comic, I'll give you that one. That was kind of a clever joke. My god, don't stare directly into Badrock's mouth! Your soul will forever wander in the abyss! Anyway, they talk about the merchandising potential of Badrock as the real seller. No argument here. Just think of all the possibilities! Pull toys, shoes, kids' meals, yo-yos, watches, mining equipment, prophylactics, custom weapons holsters. Pogs! Oh, God bless you, 1990s. A slimy lawyer goes up to him and says that, of course, some of the stuff will be for promotional purposes and therefore he won't get royalties for it, pulling up a massive contract for him to sign. And yeah, as expected, it's a garbage contract. I mean, we can't even see very much of it, but all of it has stuff like your concepts and your trademark. Also, blah 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 blah. I don't think this is gonna hold up in court, guys. The director of the film walks in, who you would think would be part of this meeting already, but whatever. The world's most successful movie maker, tycoon, bon vivant, and the social conscience for the entire world. Let's give it up for Mr. George Spielopoulos. Spielberg isn't available? Then get me his non-union Welsh equivalent. Though I am wealthy beyond the dreams of avarice, I must remain as one with the common people. I admit, I was a kid in the 90s, so maybe I just didn't notice this, but was Spielberg really known as a man of the people? Hey, I just want you to know that I really think you got a bum rap at the Oscars. But I won. See? Despite the insult to the guy directing his damn movie, Spielopoulos just ignores that and starts talking about his vision for it. What I see is a monumental epic with a full orchestrated score. By John William Stravinsky, of course. Sorry, but he's working on another project. But I hear that Howard Shore Bernstein is available. Badrock, however, has only one question for these Hollywood types. Can we go cruising the strip now? See the sights? Check out the babes? Heck, I'll even go for a few quick games of hoops if you old guys think you're up to it. It's 2 in the morning, Badrock. And indeed, they apparently let Badrock go on a sightseeing tour with Jeeves. I'd say that my joke about the time of day would just be me exaggerating, except once again, they do the massive amount of filters over a photograph thing over Grauman's Chinese theater, which again makes the sky dark and black. So this is in the middle of the night. Oh yeah, at the time it was Mann's Chinese Theater, and they clearly don't want to say it for fear of a lawsuit or something, so they only say it was formerly known as Grauman's. Except it is called that again nowadays, so there you go. Badrock demands that, since he's now a big star, that he should have his handprints in concrete there too, much to the depression of poor Jeeves who has to arrange it. Although apparently from what I've read, that's not as difficult as you would think. Isn't he in Wildcats? No, stupid, Stormwatch. The next generation of heroes, everyone! So recognizable even in their own universe. I thought he was John Goodman. Ha. Ha. I thought it was Jerry Mathers.
This isn't funny!
Some women go up to Badrock, wanting to hang off of him. Jeeves, bring the car around. The ladies and I would like to go for a ride. With the top down. But sir, it isn't a convertible. And Badrock rips the top of the limo off. You know, I was just thinking to myself that this kind of reminds me of a Twilight Zone episode. In that I want Rod Serling to walk out at some point and give an ending monologue so this thing will be over. Let's cruise Melrose. Maybe we'll see Shannon Doherty. And maybe something will actually happen in this comic aside from Badrock making an ass of himself. But I doubt it. Later, Badrock and the women, who have now transformed into two blondes instead of a blonde and a redhead as before, are walking down Venice Beach. Oh, and hey, a special guest appearance by Cinnamon over there. They spot Muscle Beach, where a bunch of weightlifters are showing off and, well, lifting. And Badrock decides to laugh at them for whatever reason. I don't know if this is Valentino making a jab at Rob or just weightlifters in general. It's just a bizarre sequence that's kind of hypocritical given the art style. Yeah, Valentino's art is better, but only by so much. Hey, you with the skin condition! You think this is funny? I can press 420! I can really blaze it! Why is everybody laughing? The Muscle Man challenges Badrock to see what he can do, which is kind of odd considering he's like a giant who's also over-muscled, but whatever. Badrock lifts up the concrete area where they're lifting and throws them all into the sea. Our hero, everybody! Come on, ladies, the sun is slowly sinking in the west. That was great, Badrock. They probably have concussions now. That was great. A day or so later, Badrock is back at Youngblood HQ talking about it with Troll, who asks if he got script approval and creative consulting, but Badrock, of course, says he doesn't have to worry. The show's gonna be great. It's gonna have action, suspense, everything. What messed up world are we living in where Troll apparently has more sense than Badrock? We then get a montage of the next 6 months. Badrock getting updates from the studio about the project, how media watchdog groups are pressuring them to change the script, and that they keep avoiding showing the script to him. Not too long later, TV Guide officially announces the launch of the TV series with little advertisements for the Wildcats animated series on CBS and Spawn on HBO, which just raises a crap ton of questions since, as we're about to see, both Wildcats and Spawn are still people in this universe. So is it like cops where they follow them around, or did the actual people sign away their TV and movie rights? The premiere causes pretty much all the heroes of Image to gather together to watch it. And where is it being held? We're just outside this stately mansion here in the heart of Gotham this beautiful Saturday morning. Well, the Spawn/Batman crossover is considered canon in Spawn, so I guess, yeah, Batman does exist in the Image universe, so it's only appropriate. Also, Spider-Man's leg there. Cute, but what exactly is the point of referencing these guys? Shouldn't you want to not remind your readers of the competition? Also, why is the reporter not wearing pants? Like, what? Is this a reference to someone? Badrock calls this guy Ruben. I get the feeling with his distinct look that I should know who the hell this guy is, but I'm drawing a blank. Also, get a load of Badrock's outfit.
Bad tie. No style.
We get a montage of various characters reacting to the news of Badrock's show premiering, including our old pal from that book I reviewed way back at the start of 2010, Pitt. I'm looking forward to it! I only hope this series gets released more often than my own books. No, seriously, it took Pitt 6 years to release 20 issues. All-Star Batman and Robin had a better release schedule. Even Spider-Man, here labeled as unidentified, speaks up about it. I think it's amazing, spectacular, and sensational. You could even say it's friendly neighborhood, web of, or even adjectiveless. At the bottom, there's this shadowy figure that I think is supposed to be Batman, except I'm just guessing here. With the generic mask shape over the face and complete lack of detailing, it could be Chapel or that Dutch guy from a few issues back. Maybe even the most memorable of Youngblood members, Task. Do you remember Task? Of course you don't. He was even in the last issue, and I don't remember Task. Anyway, here's this big image of everyone in the Image Comics universe, and it's fairly impressive for showing just the sheer total number of them. George Perez, eat your heart out. Okay, I'm hoping that was just some good-natured ribbing between friends at the time, because if it wasn't, dude, you don't get how couches work! By the by, I'm not a superhero, but why the hell did everybody show up to watch TV in their costumes? Anyway, the Badrock show starts with a rap theme song that we can't hear, but everyone is suitably impressed by. However, that quickly ends as we're treated to what the Badrock show actually is. A kids show with a doofy, fat cartoon Badrock who's singing a song about getting a pie in the face. And as the entirety of the Image universe begins laughing, you can see that Badrock takes it well. So here's my question. Did nobody actually read the TV Guide article about it? And so our comic ends with Shaft and Nightsaber discussing how Badrock will get over it, but they need to clean up their thoroughly destroyed TV that he smashed. And the moral of the story is, be careful what you wish for. It might wind up on TV. I wished for Youngblood to be a laughingstock, and I got my wish. This comic sucks, but you know what the sad thing is? This is probably the best issue of Youngblood so far. I'm not kidding. It has well-established characterization, setup and payoff for Badrock's dickish behavior. The artwork is miles ahead of Liefeld's since it has backgrounds and actual use of artistic layout and flow. There are jokes here and there that land. It doesn't introduce a dozen new characters that we're supposed to care about right off the bat. And it tells a complete story without a boring, nonsensical fight scene that we are completely apathetic about. Don't get me wrong, though. Just because it has positives does not mean that it is good. The comedy was more than a little over the top most of the time. Badrock was still a dick, and there's nothing to imply that he actually learned anything. The art was still either lazy with some panels or inconsistent with character models. And in the end, it leaves you with nothing but a feeling of emptiness for the whole thing. So even when the book is handed to other people who are not Liefeld, it's still garbage. Next time, something fun to show how this year can be better than the last. We're gonna actually have some Mr. T action in it with another issue of the A-Team. During the montage, the Max has this insightful comment. What? And really, what else can be said about Youngblood?